Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, catching up on some walkthroughs. So I introduced this deck in my Spring Bling video, but didn't really give it a complete walkthrough. I haven't worked with it since then, but I was definitely feeling like I wanted to do a full walkthrough and just to paw through it again, I guess you would say. So this is the Divine Animals Oracle by Stacy DeMarco, Rockpool Publishing, and it's got even a nice interior. A relatively thick, nice guidebook. The cards, which are out of order because I have shuffled them. What is this? Just looking, they have a few spreads, but they look pretty standard. You know, I thought maybe they would have something that was based on the theme of the deck. They don't seem to. So they have a miniature, a small version of the card in color. And the common name and the scientific name, and then peace that's the keyword for this card, is peace, and a little, I'm assuming a little summary. Mythos, the animal, so something about the animal. I assume that's some science going on there. Yep. And then the magic, the symbology, and status. What is status? Oh, it's status in terms of endangered or not endangered. Okay. Anything else in the guidebook, especially? Who was the Illuminator? About the Illuminator is Kinga Britschke. Can I get this close enough? Kinga Britschke. Is it nowhere in the box? What is wrong with that? What is up with that? It's wrong. There's artwork by Kinga Britschke. So as you just saw, 44 cards. The cards are numbered at the top, and they have the animal in larger letters, and then they have the keywords down in nearly invisible letters. So this seems to be, and you know, they have a section in there for each card called Mythos. And so this does seem to be, these animals are strongly connected to some kind of myth that has to do with the animal. So here we have lynx, hyena. Isn't that a weird card? It's like half life and half death, which I suppose is appropriate for hyena, and its keyword is fear. Did I tell you lynx? Lynx is secrets. Maybe it's fear of scarcity, since that is also there. The glorious mountain goat here, bigger than the cabin or the house in its reliability. So something that you expect to be there. Raven, this looks extremely shamanic. News. Are they flying into or out of? It looks like they're flying out of. So maybe spiritual news. What is that? There's a man sitting on something. Maybe it's supposed to be Odin. Anyway, pretty spooky, cool raven card. Seahorse. is equality. I believe that they raise the children together, the male and females. Oh, but she's got them on leashes. Equality. So there's almost a devil card aspect, and look at that. That guy coming out of the foam there. Such a cool image. You know, I have nothing, there's nothing wrong with peacocks. I like peacocks, but I'm not a fanatic peacock person. And I know they're out there, and more power to them, but it's not my thing. But they're calling it prosperity. Well, certainly they have an abundance of feathers. And here he's got a bunch of herbs and flowers, or she. I have no idea who this is. Maybe it's a she. Prosperity, peacock. Leadership for elephant. And what looks like Ganesh. I mean, it even looks like a stone. It is actually a stone statue head, not a real elephant head. Wolverine, fierceness. Snake, what does it say? Creation. So we've got, I think it's a heart that's taking root in the air. It's ungrounded. And at least two snakes there, and the heart looks like it's gold. And there's another snake coming out of one of the ventricles. And trees growing out of it. Creation. I would definitely have to read the guidebook on that. Meerkat. And we seem to have albino and normal. I'm not sure why there's a washout here. What does it say? Responsibility. And there's the paint. So one of the meerkats have been painting things. Maybe there's some legend about all of the animals being white until the meerkat painted them. That's what this seems to imply anyway. A fun myth if that's what it is. Honeybee. Reciprocity for the honeybee. So give and take. Such a cute card. Good looking man. A bunch of flowers and bees. So this must be Greek, because there's some Greek columns up there. Deer. Power. What does she have in her hand? I'm not sure. She's got some impressive antlers. That looks like Mars, the red planet up in the antlers. And as I said in a previous, I mean, it could be a harvest moon. And this is Diana. Is that what it's supposed to be? She's got her arrow. All right, so that's her hand is on part of the bow. So the bow is behind her. Gosh, that's hard to see. But you can see where the bow is up on her shoulder and the quiver with the arrows. So maybe this is supposed to be Diana. And of course she's associated with deer and dogs. So power for the deer. Jackal. It's interesting that they're showing them, they look metallic, like they're made out of silver. Anyway, in any case, there's the truth. Jackal, what's his name? Anubis, I'm guessing. Purpose, shark. And so she's a shark mermaid, apparently. And they are pretty single-minded, right? Eat, eat, eat. Polar bear. Some really cool images. Unfortunately, that does not guarantee that I have a happy relationship with a deck. In fact, I've gotten a little suspicious of beautiful decks that I won't like them. But of course I do have some. Ancestors. Polar bear. It looks like it's a drum because it looks like he has a drumstick. So he's drumming in the ancestors. Drumming them to life. Hair. Cycles. So she's got a bunny on her head. That rabbits, part of the reason that rabbits are associated with the moon is, and I don't know if that's what this card is about with all the white, possibly so, but because of their 30-day gestation or 28-day gestation period, something like that. Okay, rhinoceros. I almost wish it didn't have kind of such an absurd horn, but again, might be part of a tale. A story, a myth surrounding the rhinoceros. What is that? Moderation. Well, it must have learned moderation because this horn is not moderate. But I am glad to see rhinoceros. I like rhinoceri. So interesting. Wolf. Authenticity. This person is standing in some pretty cold water. Looks like a castle back there. That must be a Northern European myth associated with that. Ibis, learning. I guess that's the doors to enlightenment. Actually, it does look like church doors, doesn't it? And the ibis just sort of hanging out, very at home. The fruit bat or flying fox, kindness. So there's all the fruit. So maybe the bat brought her fruit. Maybe so. Maybe she's shipwrecked or has been, oh, what do they call that when they abandon you? Marooned. She's been marooned on a desert island. But what is this? So there seems to be a shell here. And I guess it's raining on the shell. But hey, you got fruit bats for company. What more do you need? Armadillo. Come on. Something. Groundedness. Groundedness. They do tend to dig up the ground, that's for sure. People in this area get into fits when armadillos dig up their lawns. I figure they're just aerating the soil, you know? Somebody's got to do it. And this is South America. And they go away. I mean, they might do it for a few days and then they're gone. That's my experience. Maybe other people end up with grounded, deeply embedded armadillos. Cat intuition. Kitties, the eyes of the kitty. And sea otter. Looks like transformation. I can hardly see it, but transformation. There's a little sea otter coming around. And coming up out of the water. Maybe this is a Mists of Avalon sort of a thing with the island back behind her. Gorilla, who is peace. even though he's got a spear. Now, the spear is in the ground, so, and the shield is down, so maybe that's what it's saying regarding peace. Looking out over the world. I mean, this is clearly mythic, so I'll have to just wait and see what the myth is. Tarantula, connection. Yeah. The webs connect. Looks like they hinder. I'll be curious to see what that mythology is. Work, the beaver. Understandable. Is he building a castle? It's the cosmic beaver building universes. Well, maybe not. Maybe galaxies. And he looks like he's praying. I think that would be one way to get somebody to think that you're certifiable, is to chatter on about the great cosmic beaver. It's kind of like the great pumpkin or something. Butterfly, the soul. So this is interesting because this is a really kind of a static card. It's not transformation, responsibility, work, wisdom. It's the soul. Pretty card, but it seems, excuse me, slightly out of place. Wisdom for the owl. Loyalty for the red-crowned crane. Red-crowned crane. It seems to be, it's either dragging her by the hair or she's coming out of its behind. So, a moon card. Yeah. So I'll be curious to read that. I don't know, is that Mount Fuji? Is this going to be a Japanese? I don't know. Dog, companionship. And here we have another, this looks like the Fool. Well, there's a cliff. Oh, it's a dog. There's the nose, the eye, and there's the dog. Dogs within dogs here. And then again, we have an archer. This time it might be a male archer, hard to say. And will for the tiger. And of course we've got Durga for the tiger. Bison. Ritual. The model for this card reminds me of Tara of Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. Beautiful, just as Tara is beautiful. Orca. Song lines? Song lines, which again is like so this is very surreal. I have to check something. I'm looking for diversity here. You know, at the very least, and certainly there's cultural diversity here. But, you know, sometimes there can be cultural diversity, and yet there's no attention to racial diversity. And I was just getting to a point where I was thinking, you know, how many of these people have blonde hair? But it is a mix. So my suspicions, I think, are unfounded regarding that. Still, not a lot of racial diversity. And I was looking in part because here's a little more diversity. I was looking at an angel deck recently, and I kind of liked the gist of it in terms of like the keywords and stuff like that, but all of the divine representations were blonde. All of the angels were blonde. It's like, really? I mean, if it was white, you know, in keeping with the whole idea of white and purity, that might have made more sense, but yeah. So, dolphin, happiness. And I do associate dolphins with happiness. And wisdom also, actually. And then here's a pregnant lady on top of the dolphins. Oh, she's a mermaid. She's a merwoman. Excuse me, she's a merwoman. Peregrine falcon. Observation. Being able to see things acutely. Right? I can't tell if this is supposed to be something here, or if it's just like the sky coming through. I don't know. Lioness, protection. Beautiful golden lioness. And snow leopard, the watcher. So this is kind of like the soul, you know, the watcher. It's kind of weird, but it is watching. Strategy, red fox. That makes a lot of sense, and I assume this is it Kitsui? I don't know, I haven't even read, but I've seen people mention this deity here. Sea turtle, stability, which is really interesting. I suppose it's stability within a liquid. Oh, there's a person there swimming along. But, you know, like stability in a storm or something like that, because otherwise I wouldn't think that anything in the ocean would be terribly stable. And what, these are little flying turtles coming out of eggs is what it looks like. Can we get a close-up? I'm not sure. They look like little eggs with wings, with little heads sticking out of them. And then there's this, I don't know if it's like a woman who has a chameleon tail, but it's chameleon change. Chameleon change. So now we are in Africa. And we have a chameleon on a spear, seems to be bending it down. And then we have this woman who seems to have a tail coming out of her body. It's practically as big as her body. She looks very intense. Jaguar, which is Very cool card. But what is it? Release. And there's water. Looks like she's trying to cleanse. But isn't that a fantastic card? Fantastic image. Horse. Freedom. It has passed over the threshold. Maybe it's the magic threshold that the ibis were hanging out on. Swan, which is beauty. I wonder if this is the Swan Maidens, the tale of the Swan Maidens. It looks more lighthearted than that. But. And then lastly, the card that I pulled the last time I shuffled and pulled this one. First time I did a partial look at this deck in that Spring Bling video. So bull, sacrifice, and you've got this wizardly type of person over there creating this incredible storm, and you have this really charismatic bull here, which he looks to have a city up on his head and shoulders. Is that Timbuktu? Those buildings in Mali? Is there a pattern in the face? Oh, it's just bull hair. So there it is. The Divine Animals Oracle by Stacy DeMarco. I think this is my first Stacy DeMarco deck. And I kind of like the way he's written stuff in the guidebook, so I may try more. I haven't been that thrilled with the artwork on the Stacy DeMarco decks, which is part of the reason I haven't gotten them. Rare deck that I can bridge, so this deck is good for my ego. Well, let's pull a card. I'm splitting the deck. I'm going to take what's on top. Oh, what do we got? Dolphin, happiness. So let's find out about the pregnant mermaid. Look like spinner dolphins. Number 42, 6, also a card of harmony and happiness. Excuse me, a number of harmony and happiness. I can never remember, was it 42? Was that the answer to life, the universe, and everything? It's way in the back. Dolphin. Cetacean, Delphinidae, or die. Happiness. Happiness is not a continuous state. So I'm going to read this. I'll read all of it, but first I'm reading this. Happiness is not a continuous state, although it is a worthy feeling to seek. Know what makes you happy and do more of this. Happiness has everything to do with your reaction to life rather than what happens to you from outside sources. If you place your happiness solely in the hands of other people, then you will be disappointed. Mythos. So now I'm going to read Mythos. The goddess Yamaya began as an Orisha, a spirit of rivers and watery places in Africa. So, I don't know, she's not very dark, but whatever. I'm assuming that this is Yamaya is who they're talking about here. When her waters broke, all the waters of the world were released. Oh my goodness. So her realm is the water, whether that be sea or river. Oh, excuse me, long day at work. Which I yawn anyway during my videos. It really doesn't require a long day of work. Where did I go? When her waters broke, all the waters of the world were released. So her realm is the water, whether that be sea or river. Yemaya slips between the waves, fish-tailed like a mermaid, playing between the waves with moonlight woven within her hair. She is the mother of all and the nourishing and life-giving power of water. All right, very important goddess then. I've been reading with the Sacred Sites Tarot, reading about all of the various sacred sites, and they are so often linked to a spring or source of water. Even if that's not like the city of Petra, where we don't see water anymore, but it survived by a spring and water collection and an amazing series of waterworks, dikes and dams and all kinds of stuff. As her people were taken upon the slave boats to faraway lands, they still honored Yemaya in the bellies of these dark, dank, and death-stalked vessels. She heard their desperate pleas, for she was a goddess of hope, and she came with her dolphins and swam alongside the ships, keeping track of where the people were. When there were storms or high seas and boats were shipwrecked, it was Yemaya who saved the people by reducing the waves or showing them where land or other boats were. Many saw her in the moonlight, waving to them and showing them where to swim. Sometimes she sent her dolphins to swim by and support those who could no longer swim, bringing them close to shore or to some floating object from which they could get support. The people thanked her and told their children of her, and today Yemaya and her dolphins still look after the people by granting them hope, happiness, and wishes. Whenever dolphins have been seen, a story has been crafted about them. The ancient Greeks, with their mythos around boys riding dolphins and Poseidon, the sea god, being able to transform or control them, are probably the best known. Actually, the Apollo is associated with dolphins, and the oracle at Delphi, and there's another name for Apollo that I'm forgetting. But anyway, it was an oracle of Apollo. The Delphi is from dolphin. So anyway, other seafaring nations, that's more information from my research from the sacred sites. Other seafaring nations, such as those in Polynesia, have stories mentioning the magic of dolphins. The animal in ancient times. So that was a pretty lengthy little story there about about the mythos. And so now there's something about the animal, and I think this one is extra long. That would just be the case, right? I should just happen to. This one is dog is 1, 2, 3 pages. Dolphin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So I don't think I'm going to read all of the science. That's the animal is telling the science. If I just read the first sentence of each paragraph, you'll get an idea. In ancient times, the spotting of a dolphin at sea was considered to be good luck, and seafaring peoples saw dolphins as allies and bearers of goodwill. There are more than 40 members of the dolphin family, from the large killer whale to the tiny Maui's dolphin, and new species are still being discovered. Dolphins have strong social bonds and live in social groups called pods. Dolphins are highly intelligent and have large, complex brains with two hemispheres that work independently of each other. Dolphins are one of the few animals that use tools, utilizing sponges and sticks to find food, which is a characteristic once only thought to be attributed to primates and humans. So I'll read the magic part. See that curved smile on the dolphin's face. That will give you a hint about their magic. When you feel tired and world-weary, when you have forgotten what it is like to play with friends in an easy way or to just run free, call in some dolphin magic to remind you. The joyful magic has been used since ancient times, and dolphins have always been seen as being an exceptional creature with happy intelligence that has been benevolent for humankind. So it says the trident. Is there a trident in here? So it says symbology. It's Poseidon's trident. Two leaping dolphins, women or boys riding dolphins, dolphins in ships, shells with dolphins painted on them. So maybe that's just sort of a universal. They're just trying to give us, because that's not in the card. It's not in the card. I thought the symbology had to do with the symbolism that's on the card. I guess they're just giving general, broad cultural symbolism associated with the dolphin. Status. Their status ranges from of least concern to critically endangered, dependent upon the individual species. So that gives you some idea of what this deck is like. I don't know what I'm going to do with this deck, but I like animal decks, so it might just be this might just be a compulsive collector move, having gotten this deck, and because some of the animals that are in it, like the rhino, the sea otter. Like, could I ask it? Of course, there's no. All right. So how about this? I was going to say I could ask it about what tomorrow will be like. But there's no way to gauge. I'm not going to come back on and do a separate video saying whether it was correct or not. So, if we're real about it. But I will pull one and see what was today like. Tell me about my day. Willpower. I could see that. And it wasn't necessarily my willpower. It was, although I did work longer than usual, and that did require some willpower on my part. But there were other people. I was leapt at. Somebody with will was leaping at me aggressively, which was fine. It wasn't literal aggression. It was through an email, and it was easily handled. But so yeah. I could see these being useful. The truth of the matter is I need to start doing more reading type stuff on my channel instead of bunches of deck reviews. But I've got a bunch more decks, so it'll be a while. I will remain deck review heavy here for a while longer yet. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.